On a happier note, and this is something we brought up a month ago and a few months ago with the Sony hacks. This warms the cockles of my heart.
Yeah, it is.
Spider-Man is now part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Woo! Spider-Pat. He's happy now. He's Spider-Pat. So why is this important? Imagine DC has all these movies coming out. Imagine they have, a Justice League movie, and you have Green Lantern and a Batman movie separately. Imagine that Superman doesn't show up in any of these movies, and you're like, what the hell is going on? You'd wonder, why is the biggest superhero you have not available? And this is how Spider-Man was, if you didn't know, for the past 13 years. Going back to 2002 with the original Spider-Man. So basically, in the late 90s, Marvel was in big trouble. They were bankrupt. Oh
yeah, they were in bad shape.
They were about to go under. You would never see them again. So in order to raise some quick cash to keep alive, they sold off the movie rights to a big chunk of their characters, including Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four, Daredevil, Punisher. They all went away because at the time it's like, well, we'll see if these movies even ever get made, because in the late 90s, the effects weren't that great still to do this stuff.
Right, and superhero movies absolutely did not have anything remotely close to the level of respect that they do now.
No.
I mean, a hero movie came out, and it was it was pretty much a predetermined flop.
Batman and Robin destroyed superhero genre.
Yeah.
What was that, in 97, I believe? It was
Yes.
97. Destroyed it. Train wreck. People didn't realize Blade was even a superhero movie when it came out. No one realized
Which was probably to Blade's benefit.
Yeah, and when you look at it, it doesn't really look like a superhero movie. It's just a cool guy fighting vampires.
Yeah.
And then X-Men comes out in 2000. Now we're here again. Here we go. And then Spider-Man 2002. Now we're officially back. So Marvel, in I believe it was 2006, established Marvel Studios. And said, you know what? We have the rights to all other characters. We see them making a Fantastic Four movie that did decently. The Spider-Man movies are doing awesome. We have the rights to all these other guys. Why don't we get into this? And because of that, Marvel shot to the moon, because they realized we can just form our own studio, get investors, and we can make billions of dollars ourselves with our properties. And that's exactly what they did.
Yes.
And that's what they did, starting with Iron Man, and then having this huge plan to go from 2008 to 2012 to the biggest movie ever, like Avengers, or one of the biggest movies ever, Avengers. And this is how Marvel got bought out by Disney, and tons of money there, and really a huge success story. Within 15 years, you have a company that was bankrupt to being bought out by Disney for billions of dollars. It's incredible. But all the while, Spider-Man wasn't there. Spider-Man was sold to Columbia/Sony in the late 90s. I think it was around 2000 they sold it.
And this is massive because it's a huge face that's missing. Whether you love Spider-Man, hate Spider-Man, or feel something in between for him, not having Spider-Man in any of these storylines, it feels weird.
Yeah.
And and it made the movies feel decidedly separate. It's weird when you read comics. There's a living, breathing Marvel world. When you watch the Spider-Man movies and you watched a movie from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you felt like they were taking place in completely different realities or on completely different planets.
Yes.
Because they couldn't intersect. And this is huge for upcoming films like Civil War, where Spider-Man is a major character in the film, and my goodness, did they get this right just in time?
Holy shit. We spoke about this a couple months ago. We're like, they better get this quick, because we know that this is filming in the spring, Civil War.
Because I love Black Panther, but I'm sorry, a Civil War storyline with Black Panther is just not going to cut it for me. I need Spider-Man there.
So if you didn't know what was going on, they announced the big Marvel Summit, basically almost like the E3 version of Marvel movies, where they announced the Phase 3 movies, and one of the big ones was Black Panther was revealed.
Right. Because
Black Panther was supposed to be a big part of Civil War, and he's still supposed to be in it to lead into his movie after that, because Spider-Man wasn't available at the time. If you don't know the storyline, it's Captain America. Spoilers: Captain America doesn't want heroes to be registered with the government. Iron Man does, pro-government, and then Spider-Man's caught in the middle, not knowing who to side on. So he has to be in that story for it to even come close to the comic book stories. And plus, with Spider-Man, his secret identity is his entire thing.
Right.
Like, there's just so much at stake, which is, again, why I hate the Civil War storyline, for having Spider-Man, spoilers, reveal his true identity, which is totally against character and type. So this is huge, because this is so huge because this is now pushing back all the Marvel release dates for Phase 3 after the Spider-Man movie comes out. So basically, if Spider-Man comes out in July 2017, that original is going to be Black Panther spot. That gets pushed back to 2018. Everything gets pushed back. So now you have Inhumans 2019 after Avengers Infinity War Part 1, for example.
I heard it was only Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther that were getting pushed back.
Basically,
everything else was basically saying the same.
Everything. Let's look at the list right now. We'll run through it.
Because here's well, while you're looking, because here's how this deal went down. Basically, Marvel Studios has the right to use Spider-Man in their films. Back again. However, Sony is still in charge of the normal Spider-Man films, and Sony gets final creative say. And
however, they're co-producing, so I think that was Sony's way of saving face, because Kevin Feige, who's producing all the other Marvel Studios films, is going to be working with Amy Pascal, who is just. So I really think that Marvel's going to have a heavy influence here.
I'm hoping,
because otherwise, him appearing in the Marvel, other Marvel movies wouldn't make any sense.
He's got to maintain some sort of evenness of character.
So these are the movies pushed. All the movies post Spider-Man are pushed, except for the 2 Avengers movies. So now Spider-Man takes where Thor Ragnarok was going to be. So that's Spider-Man's going to come out July 28th, 2017. Thor is now November 3rd, 2017.
Okay.
Avengers Infinity War Part 1 is May 4th, 2018. Then Black Panther gets pushed all the way to July 6th, 2018. Then Captain Marvel's November 2018. Infinity War Part 2 is 2019. Then Inhumans is after that Part 2 now. Before it was before Part 2.
I thought it was always after. I thought it was
supposed to be before, but it looks like everything got pushed back. You're still going to have the 3 Marvel films a year, but everything got pushed. So what's important about this is that it's going to be a co-production. They're going to share the profits. They didn't reveal what the profits, but it's probably going to be 50-50 or 60-40 Sony Marvel. Everyone wins because, as we stated a couple months ago, this helps the Spider-Man franchise a ton because it's the extra exposure from those other Marvel movies. The storyline for these Amazing Spider-Man movies, real quick, have been mediocre. Too much Oscorp, too much Peter's parents. Who the hell cares? Peter's parents is connected to Oscorp, and Dr. Connors, and then Peter's father is responsible for Spider-Man's powers, and really got a little bit too far away from the Spider-Man mythos. And while I did love them bringing back the mechanical web shooters, which was a huge deal.
I liked the design of like the Amazing Spider-Man, but the stories I could give 2 fucks about. Action
top notch. Andrew Garfield did great as Spider-Man. The quips, everything spot on, but the actual Peter Parker stuff, weak. The stuff with Oscorp, weak. Having all the villains come from Oscorp, very, very weak. I'm tired of this bullshit. Where'd all this come from the past 15 years? That everything's got to be connected. All the villains got to know the heroes, and it's a garbage crutch.
Well, it's a fucking crutch to have one bad guy generating corporation. Like
and all the villains.
There are other people who are pissed off in the world.
There are other evil people out there that Spider-Man can fight.
Yeah.
The whole Sinister Six coming from Oscorp is ridiculous. I'm sorry. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, one of the articles, and this is the sad thing, though, is one of the other articles says that Sony is still planning on going ahead with the Sinister Six movie. So
sure they are.
Yeah.
I think they're saving face.
Well, we'll see.
They're also going to go through with the Aunt May solo film? Probably not.
But that was also only really talked about for like a week, if that.
But that was still in the docket during the hacks that came out.
One thing that I'm really excited about is we're looking at a young Spider-Man actor. Jesus Christ, he's not super young. He's not a teenager, but he's not an old guy. He's a college-age kid.
Well, he starts out in high school. He starts out like 15 years old. 16 years old.
The majority of the comics are him. I mean, but I'm just
talking about how he starts.
Oh, sure. But whoever ends up being the actor,
there's two in line, but go for it.
Whatever it is, this gives us room to actually breathe through, say, 2 or 3 Spider-Man movies without worrying about Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield being in their fucking late 30s, or in Garfield's case now early 30s. Like that's always been something that bothers me about Spider-Man. Like they totally the casting age-wise has been ridiculous.
Maguire was cast, I believe, 26 years old. Looked a little bit older than that. So by the time the third one comes out, he's like 32 years old.
Yeah,
doesn't look close to high school or college anymore. Andrew Garfield was cast older than Maguire. I was like, really? Why did they go for 27? And he's playing like a junior in high school. He doesn't graduate high school till the beginning of the second movie. And now he's 31, ready to do the third one potentially. He doesn't look high school. He doesn't look college.
No.
Not close. These kids, there's 2 in line already because they got to cast this. They got to cast really quick.
Yeah.
I'm so happy about this. Dylan O'Brien and Logan Lerman, both are 23 years old, but they look high school. They look a young 23. They haven't aged. They're not as aged as Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. So I'm happy about this. And he's going to be... Because part of the thing with Spider-Man is that he's comparatively younger to all these other guys around him. He's even if you want to age him to be like post-grad student, that's only like 25 years old. You know, Captain America and Thor, these are guys at least 10 years older for the most part.
Right.
In look and stature, especially a lot more mature. And Spider-Man's supposed to offset that. But all the while, though, he's one of the most powerful heroes in his own right. And that's part of why Spider-Man's so good. It's like he's learning to deal with the responsibility as literally a teenager. And that's kind of missed and glossed over. In the Raimi films, was really glossed over about just going through high school with these powers. And I think that's one of the reasons why they want to do this, is that have him go through high school and deal with his classmates more. Like his relationship with Flash Thompson has been really unfortunately overlooked a lot in these movies where, oh yeah, he bullies them, but there was really a cool dynamic to that character where Flash Thompson hated and bullied Peter Parker, yet was in love with Spider-Man. And these movies all basically ignored that aspect, because then Peter had to treat this asshole bully like he couldn't beat the shit out of him anytime he wanted to, even though he could. He had to treat him with a begrudging, oh, I have to let him throw me into a locker, even though I could kill him.
Right.
And then all the while doesn't get the girls, doesn't get Betty Brant, and he doesn't get Mary Jane at first. So I'm happy about this. People are like, oh, do you have to reboot it again? I don't think they're going to reboot it again for the Solo movie in 2017. They're probably going to do a quick flashback, maybe like they did in the Incredible Hulk in 2008, how they did a quick reference to how it got.
You don't think they're going to reboot it? I think I read that they said that they were.
I don't think they're going to go. They're not going to go through a whole 45-minute origin again. No one wants that. We've already just seen it.
No, but they don't need to.
That's what I mean. I don't think.
Okay, well,
because plus
my idea of reboot and your idea of reboot are different. I'm saying they're probably going to wipe the slate clean story.
Oh no, yeah, he's back in high school. They said that he's back in hhigh school. He's going to already have the powers. Of course, because he's going to be.
That to me is a reboot. A reboot doesn't mean it starts with an origin story.
Okay, it's a reboot, but they're not going to retread the origin.
No.
They're going to put him in high school. Obviously, he's going to be introduced first in Civil War. He's going to have a big chunk. I'm still praying they CG in him just for a second in Avengers. They can just CG. You're rolling your eyes, but this has been in development. This isn't something that came out last week. This has been in development for 3-4 months.
No, I know.
They could CG in. Imagine the crowd reaction just to see him taking out one of those robot Ultron drones. The crowd will fucking light up.
No, they will.
And it's New York City. It makes sense. They're going to do something. They have to at least reference it leading into this because it's not going to be an Ant-Man. No, that takes place in San Francisco. It's not going to be in that.
No,
this is their chance.
They've said that it will be in an upcoming flick. I think everyone's expecting it to be Civil War as it will. But you're right. Maybe they will CG him in Avengers. I mean, who knows?
Doesn't have to say anything. He comes in, takes out one drone, swings away. The fucking crowd erupts in the theater.
Yeah, he's got to have a quip. And then
they can cast him in time.
They can cast him in voice and just put the voice in.
And of course with the script, it's not uncommon for studios when they're leaning one way or other to have two different scripts written. So there is a Spider-Man centric Civil War script ready, and the Black Panther one. They did that with this is a comparison off the top of my head. The second Fast and the Furious movie, there was one with Vin Diesel in it and one without because they didn't know if he would come back. So it's not like they're scrambling. They've known this was coming. And they have a few. I think it starts filming in March or April. So they got to cast though quick, get the kid trained a little bit, and then here we go. And I'm ecstatic about this because while Andrew Garfield to me got a little bit closer in the portrayal, it's like he nailed Spider-Man. Peter Parker was not my Peter Parker. How he looked, he wasn't nerdy enough.
That's a definite thing you gotta worry about too with characters who really do keep a secret identity. Is like I always thought. I thought Christian Bale made a great Bruce Wayne, but I thought he made a horrible Batman.
I'm kind of there with you. Like he was better as the playboy Christian Bale hanging out versus the Batman.
He was a great Bruce Wayne, but not a very good Batman.